They trapped all of us in there. That was the worst of all of the fighting was there. That was the worst.
World War II was a global storm that swept across every life touched by its era. And within that storm lies the story of Harry Shaw Jr., known simply as Pete, a U.S. Army veteran who carried the memories of war for the rest of his life. His motivation to enlist began with the tragedy of Pearl Harbor, a blow that struck even closer when his best friend's brother never returned.
One of my best friends, Carlo Corella, which is a great friend of mine. His brother was in the Navy, and he was at Pearl Harbor and never come back.
That loss pushed Pete toward a decision he could no longer ignore.
I enlisted when I was 17 because they couldn't get him fast enough.
Pete and Carlo had grown up together, schoolmates since childhood, and they planned to enter the military side by side.
So we decided, Carlo says, Pete, we went all through high school together, grade school together. He was my bestest friend. And he says, we're going in the Navy.
But there was a problem. Pete was colorblind, and the Navy's medical exam relied heavily on color tests. Carlo came up with a bold plan.
He went first. He says, now when I shout them numbers out, you listen. So he went up there and he went like 99, 44, 79. What's this? So anyhow, they said, next, now and then. He says, now here's a folder here, and I'm going to turn this folder over page by page, and you'll see all them dots, different colors, and there'll be a number up here. So you tell me what number you see. Now I knew what he said. And I did. I went like 99, 34. It went to pick the next one, and I said, whatever it was, 47. But it slipped, and it didn't turn over. How'd you know it's that? I says, I'm in the Army. They took a tray out and dumped it out on the desk. He says, pick out the red. I says, I'm in the Army.
Pete ultimately joined the U.S. Army. His basic training took place in a makeshift camp called Tar Paper City, Dothan, Alabama. Nothing but wooden posts wrapped in tar paper with cots resting on sand.
We took our basic training in what they called Tar Paper City in Dothan, Alabama. They didn't have barracks or nothing. They had 4x4s in the ground with tar paper wrapped around them and cots on the sand. That was our bunks.
After training, Pete joined the 283rd Field Artillery Battalion and was sent to England. Just months later, he entered battle for the first time on D-Day, the largest seaborne invasion in history. On June 6, 1944, Pete landed on Utah Beach, Normandy.
They cleared the shore. We went on the LSTs that was like a barge with the front went down. Then we pulled right out and pulled the trailers with us. We took all that stuff with us.
As the 283rd moved deeper into France, they traveled mostly at night, forbidden from using lights. They followed nothing but tiny cat eyes on the vehicle ahead.
And there were no lights. You couldn't use a light. They had what they call cat eyes. They have a little light that big, 1 inch by ½ an inch light. That's what you went by. Well, where that Jeep or command car went, we followed them, but all we followed was them 2 little cat eyes. But that's how they traveled, so that we didn't get shelled at night, because they were up there. We had pretty good success, but we had a couple of experiences that weren't too good. But that's kind of hard.
From Normandy, the battalion pushed towards St. Lo, a city held by the Germans for 4 years, and the site of one of the most brutal battles Pete would ever experience. Town after town, city after city, the destruction was everywhere.
A lot of destruction. Like I say, St. Lo, Colmar, Cologne, some beautiful, in Germany especially, some beautiful, beautiful buildings. in Nuremberg and Frankfurt. And them city we just annihilated them. Well, we had to get the Germans out.
Then came the Battle of the Bulge, Hitler's final desperate offensive. The Germans smashed through the American lines with overwhelming force.
That was their last big push, and it was big. Well, we were dumbfounded, It was just that quick. And how that we never even had an idea about it. And where they got all of them. We didn't know. How many, the soldiers that they poured in there, they trapped all of us in there. That was the worst of all of the fighting was there. That was the worst. Some of my friends weren't as lucky as me. And 5 feet from you. 5 feet from you. And you say, how could there, and not me, They decided that we wouldn't give up. And for the support that we had to come up immediately, especially I think it was the 42nd Division. Boy, they really, one of the divisions that really got us out of there. But that was the end of it. After that, it was all over. There was no more.
As the German army collapsed, many soldiers fled west to surrender to Americans or British forces, rather than fall into Soviet hands.
They wanted to be so peaceful, the Germans, because they know that was it. And they realized it was over. And everybody was evacuating Berlin to go to London there and to fly over, bail out.
Pete returned home in January 1946.
We went to the Channel then in January of 46 and to get on the boat to come home.
The moment the ship pulled in, Pete saw crowds of civilians packed onto the docks.
We pulled in there and the docks were nothing but people. I said, there's no room to walk. They were all waving flags, It was cold, but hell, half of them didn't even have a cover on.
Then came the phone call that woke his father in the middle of the night.
It was 1:45 in the morning. My dad answered the phone and I said, Dad, I'm at the bus station. He said, who is this? I said, it was Pete, your son. You're where? And I said, I'm at the bus station. Oh, he said, well, your brother's working midnights and he doesn't get off till 7:30, in the morning. So I don't know who I can get. I says, that's all right. I'll take a cab. Here, in the meantime, my dad called Timken, where my brother worked, and told me you get in touch with Hobart Shaw that his brother's down at the depot, the bus depot. Go get him. When I got in the door, my brother was just going by the car and he was going to turn around. He said, I'll bet you that's Pete. And I was. Got there at 2 o'clock in the morning on February the 9th. So it was a long spell.
Even decades later, the biggest lesson Pete kept from the war was about humanity.
You got to be friendly to people and try to understand them. I know a lot of them people over there, even the English. They were so sorry to see you over here. That you have to leave your home to come over here. And the same with France and Poland especially. That they thought so much of us for doing what we're doing. I said, well, we have to. So you see, that dwells on you, that they were so concerned about something like that. So it kind of made me feel, you got to understand, like people.
After all the battles, the miles marched, and the memories carried home, Pete's story becomes more than a war chronicle. It becomes a reminder of the weight carried by a generation that left everything behind to defend a world in chaos. In the silence after the guns fell quiet, the places he once fought through rebuilt themselves. Cities rose again. Families healed, and the people he helped liberate carried their gratitude for the rest of their lives. Time has taken many from that era, but their footprints remain in the fields of Europe, in the medals preserved in family homes, and in the stories passed down long after they are gone. Pete's journey, like countless others, is a testament to courage, sacrifice, and the quiet hope that humanity can learn from its darkest hours. Their voices grow softer with every passing year, but their legacy endures.